Work resumes at the shipyard after yesterday's crane accident. An overwhelming response to the Ministry of Housing fair. And a double murder trial underway in the Supreme Court.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news this evening, work has resumed at the Grand Bahama shipyard. ZNS News has learned that officials are trying to return the ship care facility to a sense of normalcy after yesterday's incident that took out one of its floating dry docks. Reports say a crane collapsed yesterday while work was being carried out to the Oasis of the Seas mega cruise ship, resulting in 8 workers sustaining what police described as non-life-threatening injuries. 4 of them have since been treated and discharged from hospital. Now, the extent of damage to the cruise ship itself is not known at this time, but the accident resulted in the ship leaning to the right side. Reports say the ship has since been repositioned and crews may be working on raising the ship and preparing it for repairs once again. The ship is docked for repairs with over 2,100 crew members on board. ZNS News has learned that the majority of the crew members spent the night off of the ship due to the accident. Apparently, 1,200 crew members spent the night on board the Grand Classica at the Freeport harbor, while another 600 crew members were on board the Grand Celebration. Now, ZNS News contacted the Grand Bahama shipyard for an update on the situation. However, no one was available for comment. Work at the shipyard was suspended following the accident. Deputy Prime Minister and a member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama, the Honourable K. Peter Turnquest, and Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honourable Kwesi Thompson, visited the shipyard shortly after the incident. They say the government will continue to monitor the situation. The collapsing of the Oasis of the Seas docked at the Grand Bahama shipyard, shutting down operations early on Monday afternoon. The cruise ship is one of the world's largest vessels, and it is believed that the ship could not be properly supported by dock number 2 at the shipyard. The nation's Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable K. Peter Turnquest, noting that officials at the ship care facility are still conducting investigations, but they are doing their best to carry out business as usual in a safe manner.
As far as the economic effect that may result from this, again, we wait to see the full evaluation by the shipyard and what this may mean in terms of the operation. Certainly, they have committed that they will keep any disruption to a minimum to ensure that Bahamians are in fact remain engaged to the extent it's possible with the remaining 2 dry docks, as well as work they may be able to do around this particular dock that has been damaged.
Now, as Grand Bahama is indeed the industrial capital of the country, the Deputy Prime Minister is reminding residents to use social media responsibly. He notes that the international arena will be watching, and it is important to keep the reputation of this island intact.
They are very damaging and can cause concern to families, and that is very unfortunate. Because not only do we have to worry about the welfare of the families here on the island, but also those internationally, because as these reports go out, they cause concern to people who may have relatives here and who are not able to contact them for whatever reason. And that is very unfortunate, and we don't want to be known internationally for sending out these kind of sensationalist and untruth statements.
While 8 persons were injured during the accident, the Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Senator the Honourable Kwesi Thompson, says that officials are grateful that there was no loss of life. Staff and crew of the Grand Bahama shipyard were also commended for their quick reaction to implementing their safety protocols.
Thankfully, there's been no loss of life, and all of the injuries were non-life threatening. That's the information that we've received at present. So obviously our thoughts and our prayers are with those who were injured, and we will continue to hope for their full recovery.
As it relates to the crew members on board the Oasis, 1,200 persons were housed on board the Grand Classica, while another 600 spent the night on board the Grand Celebration. In other news, a heads of agreement for the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort is expected to be signed soon. A letter of intent was signed between Lucayan Renewal Holdings Limited, Royal Caribbean International, and the ITM Group last week, and negotiations were set to begin immediately. During that official signing at the office of the Prime Minister, government officials outlined why the decision was made to select the joint venture group. Sabrina Brown reports.
62 local and international firms had expressed interest in purchasing the Grand Lucayan Resort, and 11 offers were received. After an evaluation process, Royal Caribbean International and the ITM Group won their bid to purchase the 217-acre anchor property for $65 million, the exact amount the government paid for the hotel in September of last year. The plan is to transform the Grand Lucayan into a 5-star property with a water theme park. The offer also includes the redevelopment of the Freeport Harbor. Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, says the government believes that the joint venture between Royal Caribbean International and the ITM Group is the right fit for Grand Bahama, as it proposes to make the island more attractive by creating a unique destination.
The search was to not just sell a hotel, but what is that project that is going to create a unique destination for Grand Bahama? And what this provided was a combination between the rejuvenation of the hotel project, and the hotel obviously is the iconic tourism hotel for Grand Bahama, which is going to be redeveloped, but it also combined it with the Freeport Harbor and the redevelopment of the Freeport Harbor.
Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Dionisio de Aguilar, says Royal Caribbean and the ITM Group were strategically chosen in an effort to turn Grand Bahama's economy around.
If you just sold the hotel, we thought that wouldn't solve the problem. The new owners would come along and they would have the same problems that the old owners had. So it's very important that we partner with someone who was going to create a destination in much the same way that Atlantis did that in Nassau. So when we saw this project come along, we were immediately attracted to it. You've got reputable brands. Royal Caribbean can bring the people, has a marketing machinery. They've obviously partnered with ITM. There's a good symbiotic relationship there. We thought that the team would work well. They understand travelers to the Caribbean. They live and breathe it every single day. Minister de Aguilar says the government kept its word to sell the hotel quickly for the purchase price of $65 million. He adds that Grand Bahama residents should begin to feel a level of optimism again. Things are turning around. The government is making some important decisions that is going to lead to renewed employment. And most importantly, while it's always important to create employment, it's always very important to create empowerment. And so we want to empower our people to take advantage of all of these opportunities to run restaurants, to transport people, to open stores. It's about empowerment, this lap. Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
The Department of Housing hosting an open house over the weekend in the new Bohemia Wash subdivision. The cars stretched for miles as residents lined up to fill out applications seeking to secure one of the homes in the government's affordable housing program. To date, some 23 homes are vacant, and the government has since reduced the cost of the homes by some 20%. Chief Housing Officer LaFrance Williams says the discount on the homes has created a buzz.
We had people waiting here from 8 o'clock, and we started at 10. I would say no less than 50. And as you can see, the people are still coming. Cars are just pulling up. We have had people from Focal, Hutchison, Wampo. We have had a lot of people passing through. Even some of the police officers who were here to provide security, even some of them took applications. So yeah, I'm pleased today, very pleased.
She says the houses will be granted to persons on a first-come, first-served basis once they qualify.
They were starting at $149. We reduced them by 20%, so you're looking at some of them going for $116, $117. We have 4 models. and they're moving. Like I said, people are filling out applications. We have Royal Bank here. We have Bank of the Bahamas is also here. Of course, Bahamas Mortgage Corp is here. And of course, we have some insurance companies here as well. And they are taking applications. They're filling them out. So people are interested. And I advise anyone, even if you're not able to make it today, come into our office and fill out an application form.
The Doyle Mackey murder trial now underway in the Supreme Court. Mackey is accused of killing Carlos and Carlton Hamilton in McLeanstown in November of 2016. Italia Hall has the latest.
Doyle Mackey is being charged with 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. He is accused of the shooting death of 22-year-old Carlton Hamilton of Colony Club Freeport and 24-year-old Carlos Hamilton, also known as Don Carlos, of Murchison Drive, Freeport. The Hamilton brothers were gunned down in a remote area near the McLeanstown graveyard in East End. At the time of the incident, the brothers were wanted by police for questioning on the charge of attempted murder. Tremaine Ferguson, Joshua Williams, and John Etchcombe were also shot during that incident. Now the trial is in its early stages and begun on Monday, April 1st. Justice Estelle Gray Evans is presiding the case. The trial includes a total of 13 jurors, and Mackey is being represented by attorney Carlton Sherlin, and the prosecutors are Erica Kemp and Trevor Kemp. Tuesday's morning session included witness number 3, Sergeant Shimiko Arthur, who explained some of the photos taken of the defendant, items belonging to him, and evidence that may be related to him. He was then cross-examined by attorney Sherlin. Now the prosecution is expected to call some 20 more witnesses to the stand. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Don't go away, there's more news right after this break.